LongHorn Steakhouse is an incredibly popular and fast-growing steakhouse chain. With rapidly rising food prices, LongHorn offers an affordable alternative to the costlier fine dining steakhouses. However, the food has to be good to be worth it, and that's what I wanted to find out. Before the review, I would like to mention that this video is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one website platform that is designed to help you stand out and succeed online. It doesn't matter if you're just starting out or growing a business, Squarespace gives you what you need to claim your domain, grow your brand, get paid, and showcase your offerings, all with a professional website. One of the things that I really like about Squarespace is just how aesthetically pleasing you can make your website with Squarespace's cutting-edge design tools. Squarespace has a complete library of professionally designed and award-winning templates. Plus, with intuitive drag-and-drop editing, your website is flexible to what you need, and most importantly, it's easy to create. Now, I've never made a website, but with how easy Squarespace is to use, I had my own website up and running in what felt like no time at all. With Squarespace, you can really make your website your own, and one of the ways you can do that, which is particularly relevant to me, is by adding video. Squarespace allows you to easily upload and organize videos on your website with stunning video libraries. With video, you can easily engage with your audience and showcase your expertise in a whole new fashion. With that being said, head on over to squarespace.com/JamesAndrews for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, use offer code JamesAndrews to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. So once again, thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and now, on to the review. It's a fairly pleasant day today, and I'm here in the backyard of my parents' house in the Chicago suburbs. I'm on a bit of a trip. My primary reason for coming here is of course family, but it is also nice to get just a little bit of a break from New York City. Now, no matter where I am, food is always one of the main subjects on my mind. While Chicago may have a great food scene, the Chicago suburbs aren't quite on that level. There are a lot of chain restaurants here, but you could still have a good meal at a chain restaurant. My mom actually had gift cards to one of the largest casual steakhouse chain restaurants, LongHorn Steakhouse. So we thought it would be a good place to have a nice, casual family meal. Now, these casual steakhouse chains like LongHorn and Texas Roadhouse, they're really having a moment. Of course, these places are not on the same level as the fine dining steakhouses, places like, say, Keen's or Delmonico's, but what they offer is something a bit different and more casual. Plus, not every city or town in the country is near, say, a fine dining steakhouse, but they may be near a Texas Roadhouse, a LongHorn, and Outback. These places can still provide one with a decent culinary experience. You just gotta take it for what it is. So with that being said, this was my experience having lunch at LongHorn Steakhouse. LongHorn Steakhouse was established back in 1981 in Atlanta, Georgia. Over the decades, the restaurant began its expansion to become one of the most notable casual steakhouse chains in the US. It was in 2007 that Darden Restaurants acquired LongHorn, which it has added to its portfolio of establishments that include spots like the Olive Garden and Capitol Grill. Today, LongHorn has continued its expansion and has enjoyed solid profits despite the challenges for restaurants these days. There's even a New York City location of the establishment in Elmhurst, Queens. While LongHorn isn't on the same level as the steakhouses that I typically go to, I'm always grateful to be able to dine out at any restaurant, especially when it's with my family. We ended up going to the Bolingbrook, Illinois location of LongHorn, which is a suburb of Chicago, and we arrived for lunch at about 11:45 on a weekday. Alright, just got seated. It's a pretty nice looking restaurant. LongHorn Steakhouse has a Western/Texas theme that I thought was showcased pretty well within the restaurant. Unfortunately, that theme extended to the music, and considering that I mostly hate country music, that wasn't good. Luckily, the soundtrack wasn't completely focused on the genre, as the Rolling Stones were even played. Overall, I thought that the restaurant had a solid atmosphere. Once my family and I were settled, we began exploring the menu. The first thing that I noticed were the prices, and coming from New York City, they were cheap. In terms of the steak, the most affordable was the 6-ounce sirloin, which went for about $15.50, while the most expensive was the 22-ounce LongHorn porterhouse, which was a bit over $34. Of course, those steaks aren't nearly on the same level of quality as a fine dining steakhouse serving prime dry-aged pieces of meat, but they were a hell of a lot cheaper, and they even included a side. In addition, there were a number of non-steak options which also had good prices. In terms of beverages, LongHorn offers a variety of nice-looking margaritas and cocktails along with incredibly affordable beer. However, I didn't feel like drinking it, so I just stuck with water, which even included a slice of lemon. After ordering, we were quickly provided with a loaf of bread. I cut a slice, buttered it up, and gave it a go. So the bread's actually pretty good. It's warm, fresh, and has decent flavor. I always appreciate good bread, and while I've had much better, LongHorn's bread still proved to be fairly enjoyable, plus it's included with the food. Soon enough, we were presented with our appetizer. We decided to go with the Wild West shrimp, which included hand-breaded shrimp tossed with spicy cherry peppers and garlic butter, along with a cup of ranch dip. The dish looked good, and I appreciated the large portion size, especially considering that I would be sharing that course with my parents. Taking a bite of the shrimp, I found that they were pretty good. They were nicely fried and tasty. The shrimp also went pretty well with the ranch dipping sauce. Plus, the ranch did temper the pleasant spice from the peppers. The shrimp's pretty good. It's nicely fried. I wish there was something that gave it a little more character, if there was maybe a sauce or seasoning, but overall, it's not a bad appetizer. That course certainly proved to be a nice start to our lunch. After finishing, we didn't have much of a wait until we were presented with our mains. I decided to go with the 12-ounce New York strip, and for my side, I chose the mashed potatoes. I've gotta say, that steak looked pretty good. The grill marks and sear were very attractive. All that was left to do was to give it a go. First, I took a quick peek to see if it was cooked properly, which it was indeed. Then I took a bite, and I was pleased. That steak wasn't bad. You know, this is a pretty solid steak. You know, it's not as good as a prime piece of meat from a fine dining steakhouse, but it's cooked properly, it's seasoned well. I like it. The flavor of the meat was all right. Now that steak doesn't have nearly the same amount of character and richness as a prime dry-aged piece of beef, but for what it was, LongHorn did a good job. I requested a medium rare, and that's exactly what I got. Plus, the steak was nice and juicy. The seasoning of the beef was also on point, and combined with the pleasant sear, I was satisfied, especially since that 12-ounce New York strip only set me back about $26. For that price, there's only so much that you can expect from a steak, and I definitely felt like I got my money's worth. Plus, having a side included with the course was nice as well. The mashed potatoes looked good and had a nice pool of butter in its center. I found the side to be fairly enjoyable. The potatoes had a solid flavor and texture. The mashed potatoes are pretty decent too. I love the pool of butter right in the middle of it. Oh, love that lusciousness. The liquefied butter was definitely nice, which made the mashed potatoes a fair choice for a side. Overall, I definitely enjoyed a good plate of food for the price. Plus, my parents enjoyed their food as well. My mother ordered the chicken tenders, while my father went with the cowboy pork chop with a side of mac and cheese and a soup. It should also be mentioned that that wasn't our first time at LongHorn. My family and I went last year, where we enjoyed another solid meal. For that visit, I got the 20-ounce Outlaw ribeye with a sweet potato on the side, along with the seasoned rice pilaf. Just like on my most recent visit to the restaurant, the food and prices were solid, equating to a satisfying meal. But back to the present, we all finished our food and still had room for dessert. So that was good, and now on to dessert. LongHorn's menu contains a few dessert options, but we were all tantalized by the strawberry shortcake photo on an insert at our table, so that's what we got. The dish certainly looked good and was fairly sizable. It seemed perfect for sharing, although I could easily eat a whole one myself. Nevertheless, I was eager to give it a try, and that dish proved to be fairly satisfying. So it's a pretty solid strawberry shortcake. I like it. It's moist, the flavor's pretty good, and the portion size is decent. Of course, I've had better strawberry shortcakes, but for what it was, I can't complain. The texture was nice and the flavors worked. Plus, my parents enjoyed the dish as well. Soon enough, we were finished, and I must say that the restaurant was certainly generous with the amount of forks they gave us. We were then presented with the bill, which totaled to $76.40, but with the tip, we spent a bit over $94. However, my mom signed up for the restaurant's E-Club, which allowed us to get a free appetizer and thus lightened the bill a bit. Regardless, I thought that was a good deal. So that was a good lunch. I enjoyed it. So that was a pretty good lunch. I really enjoyed it. Now, obviously it's not the world's greatest steakhouse experience, but for the price that I paid, that wasn't bad at all. Considering that the total bill for me, my mother, and father would equate to what it would almost cost for just, say, a single prime steak in a New York City fine dining restaurant, that's pretty crazy. Of course, LongHorn is by no means a replacement for the fine dining steakhouse restaurants, but it's still a pretty good place. You just have to consider it for what it is. Now, in terms of the casual steakhouse chains, I definitely think LongHorn is far superior to Outback Steakhouse. I went to an Outback Steakhouse last year and it was okay at best. I thought the seasoning on the steak was just very odd. Plus the steak I had at Outback was cooked not in the best manner. I mean, it kind of made me want to be a vegetarian, it was so off. Now, I haven't been to a Texas Roadhouse yet, and that will definitely be a place I'll have to check out in the future. But for a LongHorn Steakhouse, for what it is, I think it's pretty good. There were just so many nice little details about the restaurant that I really appreciated. To sum it up, I would much rather be talking about a small business rather than a big restaurant chain. But in terms of chains, LongHorn does it pretty well. Overall, I had a good meal at LongHorn. Now, it is always a true pleasure to dine with my family at any restaurant, but I definitely think that LongHorn Steakhouse will be a place that I will return to in the future.